your card base, you basically want something that's 8.5 wide by 5.5 tall. This is then going to get scored at 1.5 and 4.25. And the idea of this is that when it's folded shut, the card base will look kind of like this with the small part on top. Then, additionally, for wherever you want to stamp your sentiment, I use the Thankful for You from the Leaves stamp set. Everything else is coming from the Pumpkin stamp set. And I think I have the Leaves one. And here's the Leaves one. I think the Leaves one is just absolutely perfect for fall. Anyway, I believe this is Leaves 2 that comes with all the sentiments, but I will have links to all the products below. This piece is 2 1/8. I want to say. Let me make sure I'm. Yeah, I am incorrect. This is 1 by 13/16, which is 1 3/4 and a little bit, um, and then by 5 1/4. You can kind of mess with the sizes of these if you desire. And then you need a piece of pattern paper, and that needs to be 6 wide by 5 1/4 tall. And then you cut it up. So this is a really good use of, like, if you have any scene paper. I had this sunflower, and it's more vibrant on this side, but I forget where I got this. Maybe Michael's years ago. Um, but I thought it would be good to sort of have a more muted background, so that would sort of make the pumpkins the star, and we'll talk about them in a second. But this gets cut at 2 1/8, 1 1/8, and then the remaining piece is 2 3/4. And the way these pattern pieces lay out is when the card is opened, the entire scene is sort of reconstructed. So let me just put that together. As you notice, this piece is too big for the front, which is entirely intentional. So this is sort of how it would map out. The person who actually stamped your heart out was the person who actually I found their variant of this card. It's essentially a Z fold, but with a folded the other way, essentially. Um, so what happens is when the card is closed, this piece will cover your sentiment, and then you have this sort of side piece. You can't actually put like a die cut or something else here for visual interest. I'm going to basically leave it alone, but that's sort of how the card goes together. So, and then I also stamped out a sentiment, and I had some scraps of pattern paper. You can't really tell this one's pattern paper, but I just thought these would be great to use the as focal point. So on the front, I'm probably going to use. I haven't decided. I could use this one. We could also just use this one on the inside, and then I kind of like maybe bring this down a little bit and bring this up and sort of center it. And I think I want to pop up the sentiment for sure. Um, and you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, you could sort of center this and have this off to the side, which might look nice too. Um, there will be some additional space to the right. So actually, I think this is kind of a good idea. And then maybe I'll put this guy more sort of top middle to sort of mirror. Maybe I'll just mirror the two pumpkins. And of course, you could go in with leaves and other stuff, but let's just put this guy together. And here we go. We can do that very simply with some ATG tape. And I think these leaf sets are the ones I'm really like most excited about for fall, just because they seem so versatile. Both in when using the sentiments like we're doing today, but the leaves themselves are kind of can be any season, which I think is a cool thing. Then I'm going to mat the second piece here. And the one tip that was provided in the blog post on this is basically if you do your middle piece last, it becomes a lot easier to sort of put things together. And you can There we go. This particular pattern paper is very papery, like it's a very thin paper. And so I'm being a little bit careful just because I don't want to mess it up too much. Although, I don't know. As mentioned on previous things, like I feel like, oh, and I didn't quite do that correctly. So, um, you want to leave, obviously, you kind of want to leave the side that's free, not sticky. So, what I'm going to do is I'll grab some of my yellow cardstock and I'll just cut a little backing panel, move this out of the way. If we were using wet glue, we could just sort of wait for it to dry. But let me just, and this will be 2 3/4. So we'll just cut to 2 3/4 and then 5 1/4. And this is sort of a happy accident in the sense that this will add a lot more weight to this piece, which I think will prevent it from being damaged, which ultimately I think that'll be a very good thing. So I'm just going to line this up and we have sort of just going to rub any additional tape off the back. This is kind of a neat look though. Like I kind of like it looks like I intended to offset it. So that is great. So let's do this again. And basically you only want to get tape along the front sort of half of this panel. So I'm going to be a little careful. And then you just basically mat this out. Oops, sorry, that's a little off camera. And then here we go. So this is how it will close. And I kind of actually like the look. So I think this sort of offset like brings more of the yellow in, which is a cool look. Anyway, moving on, we just need to get this guy attached. And this part of the card doesn't move as much, so you probably don't need as much adhesive. But and what you can do is sort of trying to figure out exactly where we want this so it's even. The issue is if you do this first, it's really easy for it to be not quite matted correctly, but this is sort of the overall look when unfolded, and then folded it'll look like this. So now we really only have to decorate this. So I think I will grab a little dimensional adhesive, well, a little dimensional foam tape, which I'm trying to use more. I'm trying to use, like this fall particularly, I'm trying to use more of the stuff in my stash that I don't reach for all the time because it's always nice to sort of, I don't know, expand your horizons in terms of the material that you already have, as opposed to like always just picking up more stuff. Yeah, let's get that guy and just get the release paper off. There we are. Now, I kind of like the idea since we've matted here. I think I'll just put this here, reinforce those folds a little bit, and then we can decide where we like our. I do like the more silhouette detailed pumpkin on the front because I mean I think it makes more sense to use that as the focal piece. So let's just get a little glue on this guy, and I think I'll put it. I kind of like it right here, sort of in the middle. Of course, you could also hang it off the side to sort of balance the space out. The way it is here, I kind of wanted the centers of the flowers to remain uncovered, but obviously you can do it however you want. And I'm thinking maybe put this right in the center here. Whoop, get rid of that because I kind of like the idea of sort of mirroring these when it's open. and sort of balancing the space out. Although maybe I'll just put it here because like this is the only area you can really write. So I think I'll change my mind again and sort of leave that alone. And the neat thing is the coordinating die that comes with this stamp set will cut out all three of the pumpkins. So it sort of continues the trend with prickly pear stamp sets that I really like, which is having a more limited number of dies, which makes the whole thing more cost effective for me or you or whoever's picking it up. I'm just going to reinforce the score line. My bone folder has disappeared somewhere on my desk, but really, I can just use my glue cap to do the same thing. Just want to be a little careful where the foam dimension is because I don't necessarily want to smash that, but here we go. So here is the final card. And let me just zoom in a little bit. There we go. So you can see this in a little more detail. So it says happy fall. And then when it opens up, it says thank you for you, grateful for you. Sorry, thankful for you. And you have a spot you can write the message. And the nice thing about these Z folds is they actually, you can, because of how it's constructed, like it actually sits very nicely on the mantle. So that's what I have for you. Um, and let me know which of the fall stamp sets are you most excited for. I have to say, Leaves is definitely the one that I'm kind of really excited to use for both backgrounds and focal pieces. But I don't know. Let me know. I'm curious to hear from you guys. And have a great one.